Hey everybody and welcome back. I do apologize for the bad lighting. I know it's a little bit dark in here. Winter is coming, so I need to figure this out, but just bear with me and I'm sorry. Okay, so Child 44 by Tom Rob Smith is a detective mystery thriller. It's the first of 3 books, at least so far. It's a trilogy. It is known as the Leo Demidov trilogy, and I didn't read it. No. Well, I listened to it as an audiobook, and in case you are interested to know how that went, what do I think about listening to a book as an audiobook, pretty much, then just wait till the end of this video. After I'll finish talking about this book, I will talk a little bit about audiobooks and what I thought about it. Basically, it sets not too long after World War II in the USSR. Now, I know that most people have some sort of background knowledge of what it was, Soviet, communist Russia. Well, I think that saying just Russia is not very accurate because it was a union and it was Russia and Ukraine and a whole bunch of other countries, but basically I'm not gonna tell you exactly what it was and what happened there because, believe me, I tried this, the video took forever. So just Google it. But basically saying it was a very dark time filled with a lot of fear, paranoia, backstabbing, etc. You really have to be careful of what you say because every single word that you say, someone might hear it and think that there is a chance that you could possibly be a traitor, and being a traitor, that was like the biggest crime that actually was the only crime, technically speaking, that one could do. And then, the moment you were considered a traitor, that's it, and you would be tortured, you would be killed, and it was absolutely terrible. Now, the story follows an MGB officer named Leo Demidov, and as I mentioned, this is the name of the series. He's the protagonist. Now, he and his wife are on the chase. They're after a serial killer who kills, murders children. Obviously, this is scary, this is creepy, this is gory. This book itself, that was a good thriller. It managed to scare you, creep you out. Some of the images of the dead bodies, wow. It wasn't as brutal as the Scandinavian books, for example, the Scandinavian thrillers that tend to be very blood, guts, and gore. It wasn't as gory, but it had his share of scary moments. However, in my opinion, the real scary thing, the real creep factor was not only the dead children. I mean, obviously, dead children, it's bad, it's scary, okay, but it was also, and even more so in some ways, in some parts, the reality that was the everyday lives of the citizens of the USSR, especially considering that, it's based on true events. The USSR really did existed, it's not a fantasy book about an imaginary kingdom. These things really did happen, and when you think about it, a serial killer is someone outside the law. He is probably crazy, and the law should protect you from people like that. But the reality was that the law was actually more against the citizens than was made in order to protect them, because as I mentioned, every single thing that you say or do can be considered being a traitor. And moreover, and that was absolutely crazy, no one actually knew exactly what the criteria were in order to be considered a traitor. I mean, how crazy is that? Imagine a crime that you would have been accused of, but you don't know exactly what the crime is to that extent that you can say that you didn't do it. I mean, how can you call yourself an innocent man? And that's actually something that one of the characters said in the book. No one was absolutely sure that he himself was innocent. So they were all in danger all the time. And that was for me the real scary thing in this book. So as I mentioned, Leo and his wife are chasing this serial killer. But to make things even crazier and even more, ironic in a way, they are also on the run from the same people Leo used to work for. Because another important thing about this whole regime and system of government was that Stalin, pretty much, he was, the head, the father of the state, and he wanted everyone to know that communism was actually the perfect society. So in a perfect society, you don't have crime, you don't have murders. So when an officer actually admitted that there is a problem, there are murders taking place, and those dead kids, they didn't die of accidents, he's actually becoming a traitor himself. He and his wife are running away, and they're being chased, and their only crime is that they wanted to catch a killer that will kill again. That was absolutely insane in a way, and I kept reading it thinking, oh my god, these people really thought that way. These things really did happen, and that was part of history. Speaking of, I only have 2 thumbs to give Tom Rob Smith, the author, 2 thumbs up, but he deserves so much more, even if it's just for historical accuracy. Furthermore, obviously, for writing a very, very cool, creepy, thrilling detective story. But he was historically accurate in a lot of things. And my mother is Ukrainian originally, and when she used to live there, it was still considered the USSR. And she recommended this book to me. She actually read it before me. And she told me that she was so surprised and impressed because of all the historical accuracy. And she asked me, she said, Tom Rob Smith, that sounds very English or American, that sounds very Anglo-Saxon. Is he Russian? And I actually checked on the internet because I was wondering myself if all of his knowledge about this period was from family stories or from research. But from what I could tell or read on the internet, he's half English, half Swedish. So apparently it was all research, and research well done. And if you've seen my last video, which was actually my first video review on The Other Berlin Girl, I said then that I really like learning about history from books and from movies and from fiction. And I really, really love it and appreciate it when an author is really making an effort to be historically accurate and not checking 2 sentences on Wikipedia in order to write about an entire time. Another thing was that, as I mentioned, this book is filled with murders and fear and backstabbing. People were really encouraged to rat on their family and their friends and their neighbors and their colleagues and their parents, and tell on them that they are traitors, and you couldn't trust anyone, you couldn't make new friends. And there were 2 times in this book, one right after the other, but it was still 2 separate events, where people were actually willing to open their hearts and their arms and to help strangers, even though if they were caught, there is a very good chance that they would have been killed or tortured. And it was absolutely heartwarming to see some humanity in the midst of all this fear and hatred, and everyone thinks that everybody else are traitors. And people were really willing to risk their own lives in order to help others, in order to help a cause that in their own eyes was just. And of course, I'm not going to tell you exactly which cause was it and who was friendly, to whom I'm not gonna tell you anything. There are no spoilers, by the way, in my channel, but it was very heartwarming. And now I'm a very cynical person. It's extremely hard to make me cry in movies or books, and I don't get emotional very easily, but still these two parts were so comforting. It was very comforting to know that there was still some humanity in people when they were being so oppressed all the time. And it was not very cheesy, Hollywoodic kind of happy ending. Well, it wasn't at the ending, it was in the middle. But it was not as cheesy as it might sound from what I'm saying. So that was also a very, very good point. Another good point is obviously good writing, good thrills. This book was absolutely great. I loved it. I can't wait to read the second one and the third. They are called Agent Number 6 and The Secret Letter, but I don't remember which one is the second, which one is the third. I'm pretty sure you can check it online. And I really hope they're as good as the first one. In case you were wondering, I did read The Farm, another book by Tom Rob Smith, which was kind of different. I will do a review on it as well someday, because the review in the next book will also be a thriller, and I need to talk about something other than murder mysteries. But going back to Child 44, it was kind of sidetracking, I'm sorry. I said I think all there is to say. Great book, great thrills, creepy and scary and historically accurate, all which are good points. And in case you were wondering, I did mention it's a first of a series. This book has an ending. It's not an open ending kind of to be continued, because if there is one genre where I hate open endings, it's a mystery. I mean, I want to know how it ends. I want to know if they caught the killer, who was it, why did he do it, and you know, I just hate open endings and mysteries. But this one has an ending. The mystery is being solved, and it's not a stupid solution. You know, sometimes you get a whole mystery and everything is interesting, and then once you find out who did it, it's something really moronic. It's not. And I actually managed to guess part of it, and I never managed to guess things, but it was pretty cool. It was pretty surprising. It was pretty, oh my god, really? You know? So just read it. What are you waiting for? I know what you're waiting for. You're waiting to hear my review on listening to it as an audiobook. So here goes. I listened to it I got it from Audible, which is the biggest, or at least I think the most famous source of audiobooks, and it's pretty cool. They have pretty cool programs, and you get the first book for free, which is cool. The experience itself of listening to the book was pretty nice. It was interesting. I get distracted pretty easily, so I had to make sure that I wasn't in a situation where I would, you know, see something in the corner of my eye and that it would remind me of something or a chore or something to do, and I would be distracted and miss important bits of the book, because it did happen at the beginning. It took me a while to get used to it, but it was pretty cool, you know, doing it as I was doing other things, or, you know, while driving, or if you're on an airplane. I think it's a pretty good time to listen to it. In case you've never heard an audiobook and you were wondering about, do you really get the whole story? Yes, it's being told very clearly, and they choose people to do it who have better diction than I do, let's face it. And you can tell the difference between which character is speaking, and everything is clear and everything is good. The only problem that I had, and it was with this book specifically, and it was weird, but it's always like that. Everything is good, but then I have to have an issue with one thing, and in here it was this. They took a man to narrate this book who is either Russian or have some Russian, I know, either background or something, which is great because then he's able to pronounce the names and not make mistakes and pronounce right, names of places and everything. The only problem was that as he was describing things and reading from the book parts that were not dialogues, he was speaking with an American accent, and you could hear that he has a bit of a foreign accent, which is fine. You could still understand him. But when he was speaking as a character, he had a Russian accent, and it seems like he was doing that on purpose. And I really didn't like it. I thought it was even to some extent a little bit offensive. I mean, why? Why would you do that? Either you speak English, because the book is originally in English, and in that case you speak with an American accent or English or Australian or whatever, but speak English. Or if you want to be super accurate, speak Russian, because they weren't speaking with English with a Russian accent. And I haven't watched the movie yet. I really want to. I hope it's good. I hope they didn't butcher it like Hollywood tends to do. But I really hope that in the movie at least they don't speak English with a Russian accent in order to make it look or sound a little more, I don't know, accurate. I think it was just stupid. What do you think? Have you seen this book? Do they speak in English with a Russian accent? Because I'm worried about that. Basically, yeah, I think I've said all I wanted to say. That was a really great book. I hope the second and the third are as good. I hope the movie is good. If you've read or seen anything, write a comment. Don't spoil anything. I told you, no spoilers in this channel. And that's about it. Give this video a thumb up if you like it. Comment, tell me what you thought about this book, which books or genres would you like to hear about, or maybe you can maybe there are things that you want to hear in my reviews that I'm missing. Maybe am I talking too much? I'm pretty sure I'm talking too much, but I would like to hear your feedback. Am I revealing too many things? Am I not talking about things that you would like to hear generally? I would like to hear your reviews on my reviews and your feedback. And in any case, I'll see you on my next review, which will also be a detective mystery, and I won't tell you anymore. So bye bye!